All right, next week, UFC 281. A fight that I think should be labeled as the people's main event is, and of course, I think you know what I'm going to say, Dustin Poirier versus Michael Chandler. I mean, come on. This fight is guaranteed to be absolutely insane. I'm a fan of both guys. They're both absolutely incredible. They carry themselves very well outside of the octagon. But inside the octagon, the violence that they bring is almost second to none. Now, Michael Chandler, he signed with the UFC, came over from Bellator where he was a multiple-time champion. And he has provided, I mean, come on, talk about a great signing for the UFC. Ever since he came, he's been non-stop entertainment. Made his debut on Fight Island against Dan Hooker. As we know, he got him out of there pretty quick. Round one, beautiful overhand right, sat him down, followed up for the finish. Then he went up against Charles Oliveira. This was for the vacant lightweight title. Didn't get the job done. Lost the fight, but holy shit, he came this close to winning. This close. What a fight that was. At the end of round one, he had Charles Oliveira on his knees, literally dancing all over the place, trying to save his life. Almost out. But of course, it wasn't. And he came back in round two, and he got the job done and knocked Chandler out. Still, he rebounded. Then he fought Justin Gaethje, the human highlight reel, at Madison Square Garden this time last year. And that fight, if you weren't there in that building, holy cow, you missed something special. That fight was absolutely ridiculous from start to finish. It was the opening fight on the pay-per-view. And let me tell you, it took the house down. The atmosphere, the noise, and just the fight itself. Absolute back and forth mayhem, non-stop. Credit to both guys, but of course, Justin Gaethje got the job done. And Chandler could have won it if he changed his strategy up a little bit. It was a very close fight, but Gaethje got the job done. It was fight of the night and fight of the year, and for good reason. And then Chandler came back again just earlier this year in May, at UFC 274, went up against Tony Ferguson, and sadly for Tony, I love Tony, but turned him into a chicken nugget and to a meme all at the same time. But it was a great fight. Chandler got dropped at the start, then he gets up, he does a double leg takedown, fires Ferguson all the way across to the other side of the octagon, and then in round two, lands that front kick to the face, sits Tony down, and that was that. So as I say, 2-2 inside the octagon right now. Dustin Poirier, as we know, he's been around for a very, very long time, always fights his heart out, gets the job done predominantly with his hands. Yes, he's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, he can wrestle, he can kick, all the rest of it, but the hands, I think he's got some of the best hands. I mean, when he fought Justin Gaethje, some of the combinations that he put together were absolutely beautiful. And then he'd get in, he'd land a nice little short combination, and then he'd just glide out of the way of the counters with the feet and then go again. It really was a beautiful performance. And in that fight with Justin Gaethje, that was in the middle of one of the best runs that what he had. Yes, he fought Conor McGregor back in the day at UFC 178, got stopped in the first round, went on a nice 4-fight win streak. Then he fought Michael Johnson in a main event, but he got caught really quick, knocked out pretty fast at 1 minute 35. Hey, Johnson's got a mean punch on him. But then he went on an incredible run. He beat Jim Miller, Eddie Alvarez, Anthony Pettis, Justin Gaethje, Eddie Alvarez, and then of course became the interim champion when he beat Max Holloway. And you got to remember, Max Holloway was on an absolute the ride of his life at that time. Max Holloway was on fire, looked almost unbeatable until he came up against Dustin Poirier. Then of course he tried to unify the belts. He tried to become the undisputed champion against Khabib Nurmagomedov. Never got the job done, okay? But, you know, Khabib's a legend. Chokes out everybody. And then he rebounded. Dan Hooker, Conor McGregor, 2 times in a row. And those performances against McGregor, I mean, they were absolutely sensational. The first one at UFC 257, the boxing was next level. You can see he's always improving, always getting better. And, of course, got the knockout in round 2. And then, of course, the next one at UFC 264. Look, listen, it was a shame. It was a sad end to the fight for Conor McGregor. He snapped his leg. But the reality is he had a very, very tough opening round. Listen, fights can change after the end of a round. They really can. People could turn it around and all the rest of it. But I don't think that was going to happen. Poirier was way ahead of him, beating him down pretty well. And then, of course, as we know, tried to fight Charles Oliveira. Didn't go his way and he got choked out in round 3. Now, the storyline, I think, going into this fight is that I believe whoever wins this fight potentially might be fighting for the lightweight championship next. Now, listen, Poirier and Chandler, they're real fighters. They're real men, right? They want to beat the best person on the planet themselves. They don't want to, look for an easy route, okay? But both of them, they got beat by Charles Oliveira recently. So I don't think there's any... if Charles Oliveira was still the champ, if he'd just beaten Islam, they wouldn't get a shot anytime soon. But guess what? Islam Makhachev is the champ. He did beat Charles Oliveira. And that opens the doors for Chandler and for Poirier. So a little part of them, they were rubbing their hands together a little way when Islam beat him. So let's take a look because, think about it. In the top 10, obviously you've got Islam Makhachev as the champ. You got Charles at number 1. Dustin Poirier, he's number 2. Charles ain't getting a shot anytime soon. Islam's fighting Alexander Volkanovski in Perth, Australia next year. Happy to say I'll be commentating that one. You got Beneil Dariush at 4, who's definitely a contender. I think Dariush should fight Charles Oliveira, winner of that one, potentially. Number 1 contender fight. And then you got Chandler at 5. From 5 to 10, you got great fighters, but none of the star power that Chandler or Poirier have. You've got Fiziev, Dos Anjos, Mateusz Gamrot, Arman Sarukian and Jalen Turner at number 10. So they are all formidable fighters, very, very talented. Keep an eye out for Jalen Turner. But as I say, it's not quite their time just yet. They are all kind of the new generation of the lightweight. Chandler, even though he's not that new to it, but he's kind of one of the OGs because he's been around for a long time. And Dustin Poirier certainly has been around, paid his dues, and now he wants to collect. So, coming into this fight, as I say, because of all those circumstances, because Islam needs contenders, if he gets through Volkanovski, there's a lot riding on this fight. So, who do I think is going to win and why? Well, I think Dustin Poirier... all fights start on the feet. And I think Dustin Poirier has the better boxing, as I said. He's got the longer reach, but only by 1 inch. When you see Michael Chandler, he's a shorter guy, but he's got 71-inch reach. Dustin Poirier, 72. So not much of an advantage there. But I just think he puts together better combinations. Very, very fluid footwork. He likes to switch stances. He'll glide in and out. Of course, he's a black belt in BJJ, as I said before, so that's a threat for Chandler if it hits the ground. But I don't think Chandler's going to be too bothered about that. Listen, we all know how to do arm bars, whether you're a black belt, purple belt, whatever it is. Most of us, if you've been doing MMA long enough, you know how to fight on the ground, okay? And there's certain ways that wrestlers like Chandler can mitigate your offense if you're a BJJ guy. So for Chandler, he's got to mix in takedowns. He's got to go from the boxing to the takedowns. Lots of level changes, lots of feints, lots of fakes. Use the hands, set up the level changes. I don't think we'll see too many kicks from either man. For Dustin Poirier, throwing kicks that could open a door for Chandler to counter with takedowns. So I don't think we'll see many kicks from Poirier, but the hands will be on display. I think Poirier is going to keep this one on his feet. I think he's going to dance around the octagon, use the jab, frustrate Chandler a little bit, but then remember, this is only a 3-round fight. So I think he's going to be cagey to start. There's always a feeling out process. Then rounds 2 and 3, I think we're going to see Dustin Poirier going in there and trying to, really establish a lead, really get ahead. Obviously looking for the TKO, but Michael Chandler is very tough. However, he has been dropped. He got dropped of Tony Ferguson, he got dropped of Charles Oliveira, the former champ. He has been shown to be a little bit chinny. Tony Ferguson's a great fighter, but I think the best days are probably behind him. And that's not a surprise to anyone for me to say that. The point I'm making is if Tony Ferguson can drop him, and listen, we can all drop anyone on our given days. If it's the perfect shot, the right placement, at the right time, the correct angle, the right part of the chin, maybe your opponent's off balance, we can all drop other people. But I think Dustin Poirier certainly has shown time and time again that he can wear down great fighters like Conor McGregor, like Justin Gaethje, and he can put them away. If he can do that, I think he can put Michael Chandler away. However, Chandler, listen, there's a reason he's here. He brings nothing but excitement. And this fight will be absolutely sensational. The main event is Izzy versus Pereira. That's a very, very intriguing matchup. That's going to be a chess match in many ways. Or it might be all out violence. Who knows? But my prediction for the people's main event, Dustin Poirier, Michael Chandler, I say Dustin Poirier gets a TKO in round 3. What do you think? Let me know. Subscribe, ring the bell if you haven't done that. Yeah, what do you think? Dustin Poirier, Michael Chandler, am I out of my mind? Yeah, let me know down there. All the best.